What's going on? And welcome in the Pels and Whistles right here on the Believe Network. Our show sponsored by Bet Online. I'm Daniel Salerson alongside Rel Myers. We have hit the All-Star break, and I feel like for everyone, including ourselves, it is much needed. Glad you're with us as we took a little bit of not an All-Star break, but a get healthy break as Rel was a little under the weather. Usually I'm the one that has to sit out the episodes because with two kids, I tend to get sick a little bit more, but Rel is feeling better. Glad to have. We couldn't do a show without her. She's the main piece. We might as well call it Rel and Whistles if we could. But Rel, I am so glad that you're feeling better and well enough to at least participate in this podcast. We have a lot to talk about. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I started feeling a little bit better last night. I jumped on Chris Connor's show and I was like, all right, if I can get on here and sweat it out, then definitely go ahead and get on Rails and Whistles. So I sent you a text and I was like, let's do it, man. Got to get this done before the break. So happy to be back recording. We've got a ton to talk about.
Yeah, you were listed as questionable, and you're actually one of the people that actually does participate when listed as questionable. Unlike
Yeah.
everyone else that we see listed as questionable, we might as well rule them out. So we're glad that you have stuck with it, and we do have a lot to talk about because it is the last time we talked was post trade deadline. We talked about the acquisition of Josh Richardson, and that seems to
hmm
be going really well for the Pelicans, except, last night he failed to finish the game due to an
Oh, yeah.
injection. As the Pelicans fall to the Lakers last night, the offense just really couldn't get anything going. Got to within four at the half, but then again, just nothing really clicked offensively without Zion Williamson. We'll get to that as well. But
hmm
since we last talked, the Pelicans will enter the All-Star break on a 2-game losing streak, both of them on national television. Was it 2-game losing streak? I'm sorry, I'm missing a game in between Cleveland and LA, right? Oklahoma
Yeah,
City, one
Oklahoma
and
City.
two,
Yeah.
one and two. I'm gonna confuse myself, but yeah, 1-2 in the last three. They did get the win on the road against the Thunder, but losses on national television against the Cavs and the Los Angeles Lakers. I guess we should start with maybe let's go all the way back to Super Bowl Sunday when you were texting me
Yeah.
talking about Zion, and I was like, "What is she talking about?" He experienced a setback. We don't know when we're going to see him next. I mean, mid
Nope.
March maybe, but that was kind of the
No.
biggest disappointment. The fact that Zion had this setback, and now we are not sure when he's going to come back, and it kind of just feels like here we go again with this team.
Yeah. And the thing about them saying that he would be out for at least an additional few weeks or at least an additional month is that we've seen how cautious we can be. And we know that it's not just going to be a month, right? They like at least is the key words right there, like the key phrase. So at least an additional month from when was it February 12th
Yeah,
is when we got the news. Okay, so March 12th ish, right? Um, and then at what time between now and then is the actual ramp up period, right? Like, is he resting right now? Is he ramping up right now? Probably not if he just suffered a setback like last week.
yeah,
So how long is that ramp up process? We're not just gonna drop him back in there, but at the same time, are we gonna drop him into some really competitive games when we're in a play-in race? Or are we gonna err on the side of caution and be like, no, I don't think we should do that. We should just wait for next season. And next thing you know, we got Zion doing dunking videos in the freaking practice facility again. So it's like, I don't know what to expect. I don't feel comfortable saying, oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll see him in mid March, or we'll see him at the end of March, or we'll see him in early April. We got like what 3 games in April before the regular season's over.
yeah.
I don't know. I am very nervous. I don't know what to expect because we've seen what the team can do with him, and we've seen how they look without him. And lately, it's like, I don't know. I think even with Zion, I don't know what our offense is supposed to be doing. Like when we have Zion, the offense is give him the ball, move out the way. When we don't have him, it's let Bi and CJ ISO everybody to death. So I don't know what's happening, but hopefully they can have some discussions over the next week until they play again after the break. But yeah, man, they're stressing me out again. I don't have the panic button because there's nothing you can do at this point besides cut somebody and bring somebody in, which I don't see happening. So
Right.
yeah, there's no sense in me even grabbing the panic button anymore.
Has your tune changed? It seems like it has because when we talked at the beginning of the year and Zion and Bi were alternating being out,
Yeah.
that we still had faith in this team as far as the depth and them able to win games without him. But it just seems like now and I myself included too,
Yeah.
a lot more nervous about this team without the fact that there won't be any Zion for about a month so or even more. Are you a little concerned, especially the way the offense has been playing, that this is not the same team that we saw at the beginning of the year dealing with all the injuries and that not saying that something's going to happen, like you mentioned, hard to believe
Mhm.
that they'll buy out someone and then bring someone in, but worried that they're not going to be able to sustain and keep up in the West with the injury in the absence of Zion.
Yeah, I think that they it's to a point now where I feel like this season, like they know for sure, like what they have as far as like how far they're going to be able to get this season. I think in the off season, they're gonna have to do something as far as upgrading somewhere in the roster. Now there are some people that are gonna tell you that they got to make a decision as far as the big two, and I don't think that they have to do that. But
Mm-mm.
you just gotta upgrade some of your role players, I guess. And I'm not sure exactly how many open roster spots we'll have next season with Jackson being a restricted free agent, and then we still have a year of Garrett Temple on there, but it's not guaranteed or something. So I don't know how that's going to work out. So that's at least two right there. But I mean, this isn't like a huge free agent market here, right? So we would have to start using some of those picks, even though we use like 4 second round picks to offload Devontae. But um, I think that we need to get a little bit more serious as far as getting some more talent in. Um, but everything also hinges on who's healthy and who's not healthy. You can assemble a great team, but if you don't have the main piece that everything's centered around, or the main pieces that everything's centered around, I don't know how far we'll be able to get. So I don't know. They need to take a long, hard thought about what they want to do.
What's crazy is when you look at the starting five and you have CJ who's capable of knocking down threes, BI who's really good at creating. You mentioned those two just kind of in isolation, trying to figure everything out on their own. You have Jonas inside. You also have Trey that can space the floor. You would think that the offense would flow a little better than it does. It just
Yeah,
doesn't seem like it clicks the way maybe
stagnant.
we all think it should be. I'm just trying to figure out why that is not the case and why they have a hard time
I don't know.
scoring.
You can't come out and be down 2 to 12 every night.
Yeah.
Like that's not I know we don't our favorite word around here is sustainable.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to use that word, but that's just not sustainable. You're constantly fighting from behind, and at what point are you going to get tired of that? So come out there with some energy from jump. Don't wait till you get down by 20. So then all of a sudden, yeah, let's go, let's do it, you know? And there was a couple times last night where they would get down by 8 points, 12 points, whatever, and they push it back to only a 2 point deficit. But then next thing you know, we let them go on a run, and it's like as soon as we get close, we relax a little bit and you let them go on a run. It's like they never let up last night. They never let up on the Pelicans, and the Pelicans were kind of just jogging, whatever. And
One,
it's
two,
like,
three,
dude,
Cancun.
come on, man. Cancun's exactly where you're going to be if you don't get it together. I mean, obviously, this team is not winning a championship this season, but you would like to delay your trip to Cancun at least by a week or so.
You
So,
would not have to go through the play-in again. Again, I feel like that's got to be
yeah,
the end all goal for this year right now, especially with the injuries, is try to get at least stay in that top six.
yeah,
Because, or I mean, the bright side about 7 or 8, there is a margin for error where if you lose a game, you still can make the playoffs. But again, you don't want to be seven
mhm.
or eight in this Western Conference playoffs. That means
No,
another dance with the Phoenix Suns probably and Kevin
don't want
Durant,
it.
the Denver Nuggets. You don't again. Golden State's going to be up there again. The West is too deep right now.
Yep.
Dallas Mavericks with Kyrie and Luca, who are still having a hard time figuring things out, but I think they will eventually figure things out. Memphis. I
Mhm.
mean, there are just too many good teams, or you're gonna be like, ah, we'll be okay. We'll just wait for Zion to get back. I know that's not their mentality right now, but it just seems like if they are not careful in this tough Western Conference, that they could be sitting at 9 or 10 or 8 come playoff
Yeah.
time and then have to do all this over again when the goals and if you want to, climb that ladder and get, progress with this core group of guys, you want to see them make the top six. So it just
Yeah.
seems a little shaky right now the way things are going and have to figure out how they can win without Zion because he's not going to be back for a little bit. And I think that's the biggest concern is I think defensively eventually they'll get things going. But like Herb I don't know what's going on with him offensively, unless he's
Yeah.
going in for a dunk. I mean, he had the nice move on LeBron. He was able to get on the dunk, but his shot's just not there. I don't know if he's lost
It's not.
confidence or I don't know where it is, but that's a liability on the floor if he's not able to shoot. And
Yeah.
again, defenses are gonna realize that and go, all right, we'll just leave Herb open and they let him, you know, make us pay if that's gonna be the case.
I don't remember who it was earlier this season, but someone that we played was deliberately they were doubling Zion, and whoever Herb's man was, they would go to Zion, and they leave Herb open. You get a
Hmm.
ball to Herb, he's gonna take a faux 3-pointer because he's definitely stepping on the line, and then he misses it. And it's just like I try not to be too hard on any specific player, but it's just so weird to me that he spends so much time in the gym. In the entire offseason, he was in the gym the entire offseason, and I have no clue what he could have been working on
Yeah.
because his shot looks 10 times worse. And maybe everything that he learned throughout last season, maybe it was lost in the offseason because maybe he wasn't working with Fred Vincent over the summer, you know? I'm just trying to like rationalize why on earth you could be getting in that many hours in the gym and nothing. I don't want to say nothing looks different because it looks different. It looks worse. So I don't know. I just kind of have to have faith that he'll figure it out. I'm definitely not trying to. I'm not ready to write him off or anything like that. I don't want to
Absolutely
get
not.
rid of him or anything, but yeah, something's got to give. You got to start doing more cutting, more screening, um, and I don't want to see a time where Herb gets the ball and Trey's a few feet away, and they're both. He can make that extra pass, and then Herb takes a shot instead of Trey taking the shot. Like I've seen times where CJ and Trey are out there open, and CJ will hurry up and pass it to Trey so he can take the shot. I'd rather see that. Give it to the guy who's the better shooter. Now, last night, Trey was not the better shooter. I don't. I think
Mm.
that might have been his worst outing since his like coming out party last season, right? So um, sometimes you're gonna have those nights, but you have to find other ways to impact the game if your shot's not falling. So um, hopefully these guys, they can go enjoy their all-star break and whatnot, but hopefully they'll come back and make something shake. But I'm looking forward to the all-star stuff. Do you know if we can bet on Trey or anyone winning the dunk contest?
You can absolutely do that. There's props right there. There were props for what color Gatorade was going to be poured
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I
at the
haven't looked
Super
at
Bowl, so you know that
all-star.
there's going to be props on All Star Weekend and who will win, and that's where you can use Bet Online for everything with your betting needs. Bet Online remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from pro and college basketball, UFC, MMA, and more. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at Bet Online with live betting options, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. Bet Online is truly the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to the website, use your mobile device, join, and receive a 50% off welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right there on my shirt, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. So, yeah, absolutely. You can bet on whether Trey's going to win the slam dunk contest or Trey or Jose can be your rising stars MVP.
Ooh.
Obviously, Zion Williamson will not. I don't know if he's going to be there. You think he's going to be there and just watch the festivities and be introduced because he is technically a starter?
He is.
When Vin Diesel announces the intros, is he going to say
Is that who it's
Zion?
gonna be?
Yeah, he's doing the intros.
That's amazing. I had no clue. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be there. I feel like I don't know if it's really his thing, you know? Like
Yeah.
Zion's already a spectacle just as he is. I don't know if he wants to go and be part of like all that, but I don't know if he wants to go, that's totally fine. Uh he could go and support his boys, you know? So I don't know who I'm expecting to see there, but I'll be inside all weekend watching every minute of all the all-star stuff.
No
Some people
parading
are
for you.
saying, yeah, no parading for me. I've seen a lot of people complaining about the dunk contest and the 3-point contest as far as who the participants are. And it's like, look, if it was someone from your team, you'd be totally into it. But because someone from your team's not gonna be there, you guys are like, oh, this sucks. What's the NBA doing? Like, I will say having 4 different teams for the Rising Stars is a bit much. I don't think that we need to do the whole like small mini tournament thing. But I don't know. I feel like the dunk contest participants could surprise us, and I don't know why people are just so like unhappy with who's participating. Like,
It's
I don't
because of
get
the
it.
names, because he used to have so many people participate like it was a big thing for
Yeah,
the best dunkers and the best players in the
superstars.
league. Yeah, when Vince Carter was doing it and Dwight Howard was doing it, and it's gone to the point where you have Mac McClung from the G League
Yeah,
participating in it. I think they just want to see more. And someone was showing a video of a skills challenge, and now it's three teams. It's the Antetokounmpos, the
yeah,
rookies, and the Utah Jazz. Where there was one skills challenge where there was LeBron, Dwayne Wade, I think Carmelo or someone
and
else,
Chris Paul
and
and,
Chris Paul. And it's like
yeah,
again, it's no fault of anyone. I think everyone just wants to use it truly as a break, but no one wants to participate in some of these things anymore. And then you have
yeah.
again, for us, it's exciting to have Trey Murphy in it, but for those who the casual fans, as they like to say, are probably like, "Yeah, Trey Murphy,
Yeah,
what? Who? I thought he was a 3-point shooter. Like now he can
extremely
dunk."
casual. I mean, he should
But
definitely be in the three-point shootout over the dunk contest, but, we'll see what he comes up with. A lot of people are like, "I don't know, he's more of an in-game dunker." We'll see what he can come up with, and if he doesn't do great, then they won't invite him back, but we haven't had anyone in the
right,
contest since Chris Anderson embarrassed us when he and, J.R. Smith were in the contest, so, I mean, I'm down for it, but,
has it lost its luster a little bit though? All Star Weekend.
All-Star Weekend in general, maybe not. I think the dunk contest probably has just because of they wanna give everything 10s early on, and then later on in the contest, they just I don't know, the scoring's just really messed up. Um, and after seeing what they did to, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, it's like those guys they're never gonna wanna participate in something like that again for good reason. So you have
Right.
to get new faces in there. And I feel you can also learn about other players that you're not that familiar with. Like I didn't know who Derrick Jones Jr. was when he was in the dunk contest, and he won the freaking thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you could potentially find a new little guy to root for. You know what I mean? So some people aren't into that, but it's just I don't know. Be happy for the opportunity to see any of this stuff.
Do
Is
you
the way I see it.
Do you remember when it was here the first time in a slew of like recently? I think it was like 2014 when they hosted,
Yeah.
and the slam dunk contest was like everyone dunked at the same time. They had like a minute 30 to do like the dunk contest was just weird and it was so bad. And then they went back to another more traditional sense. But the one thing
Mhm.
that, and this is more just me being old curmudgeon, being old school. I miss the days where the players wore their own jerseys at All Star. It
Yeah.
was East versus West.
Yeah.
The whole drafting in the schoolyard, like I get it. It's cool to see some people in different conferences play alongside each other for one game, like Giannis and Steph, or Giannis and LeBron, or whatever it's gonna. I know they're two
Yeah.
captains, but like I thought, for me as a baseball fan, when you see your favorite teams players represent your jersey and your city when intros and all that, like back when
Yeah.
Michael Jordan would wear a Bulls jersey and it was white. So the East wore all white jerseys and the West wore the away
The road
jerseys.
colors.
Like, yeah, the
Yeah.
road color. I like that because
Yeah.
it just shows you which teams were represented in the All-Star game. And now, like I saw the jersey that Curry held up, and I don't know if it just says All-Star on it in like blue and black. I'm
Yeah.
praying that that is not what the
Yeah, the
jerseys are
other
going to look
ones,
like, but
it's a blue, it's like an ombre sort of situation, like a blue and black one, and then the other one's like a yellow and orange sort of thing. And I want to say in the Pelicans team store, they actually have one of each of those for Zion in there because you know what team he was getting picked by, even though he's not going to end up
yeah.
playing.
What a waste too.
So
You're going to have jerseys for
that's a
each
waste.
of
Yeah.
each guy for each team because you're picking them right before the game starts.
I think they're just trying to they're just throwing stuff at the wall and trying to see what sticks. And
But it's an
so I
exhibition game though. Like who cares?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like 2 or so years from now, it's gonna be different again. One thing, I don't know, are they still doing the target score thing? Because I don't like that at all. I
The
think
Elam
that's
ending?
stupid. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I don't like it. So maybe they can stop doing that. Maybe if they send out some feedback surveys, we can all fill those out. It's weird. Just play. Just go play. We don't need a target score. Um, but yeah, the jersey thing, it's I don't know what's going on with that. And then the Rising Stars jerseys, they literally look like late 90s, early 2000s WNBA jerseys. And I was so excited when Nike first took over the jerseys for the NBA, but ever since it's been just disappointment after disappointment, just one after another. So um they gotta step some stuff up over there. But yeah, All-Star weekend itself is very different than what it used to be, but it will continue to be different and they'll continue to change stuff. And maybe they'll get rid of skills challenge altogether. Maybe we'll eventually see like a 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, 3-on-3 tournament, something like that, like a big three sort of thing. Um, but they just have to, I guess, figure out the logistics. They have to think of the idea in the first place, I guess. So either way, I'm always gonna watch the stuff. I like to
Mm.
see all the
Yeah, and
cool things going on.
people will always watch it, and I think every sport is trying to figure it out. I mean, the MLB All Star Game used to be where the winning team would have home field advantage for the World Series, and they're like, we're not letting
Oh,
this All Star Game dictate which team gets home field in the World Series. That's
what?
ridiculous. They tried to make it competitive after the game ended in a tie back in the early 2000s, and so people were
Oh,
getting upset. But it's like, again, you're there to see all these all-stars come together and play a game. Same for the
mm-hmm.
Pro Bowl. Now it's a flag football game, and they changed the skills challenge where you're playing dodgeball and doing tic-tac-toe, which I didn't watch it, didn't interest me, but I feel like it was a step in the right direction, is trying to entertain people over an all-star week, and one, get the players to go, and two, get people to watch it. But at the same time, it's as simple as the game does not count, and it's just a bunch of all-stars there. Like, everyone talks about there's no defense in the All-Star game. Well, what do you don't want to see a guy get locked down. You don't want to see a 90-80 final. You want to
Yeah,
see dunks and threes,
half court threes.
half court threes, whatever, Elam ending. So there's no perfect way for any of these all-star games to go, but there's just little things that I would like for them to bring back. And I think one of them is representing their teams again. Like, if Zion was playing, him being out there in a Pelicans jersey will mean a whole lot more than it just saying all-star with a
Yeah.
Kia logo in the corner there. I just think it just kind of loses its luster a little bit when everyone here in New Orleans is like, yeah, he's a Pelican member of the Pelicans is representing us in the All-Star game, especially as a starter.
Yeah.
I think that stuff goes a long way.
I like the jerseys they did a few years ago where they were just black or white and they had the logo of your team on the
Yeah.
front, but then on the back they got your stuff. So what was that? Probably 2018, 19, 18, 2018. That was the year that I want to say Tony Ruffles wore Boogie's
Mhm.
jersey or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was an all right jersey. But yeah, I do like the old 90s, 2000s wear your own jersey sort of thing. But I think they just saw it as a way to sell more merch because that's
Mhm.
always the goal, right? Make some more money. So they started selling us these other things that nobody likes. All the other all-star merch looks awful too to me. So I don't know. I check the store every single day because I have a credit merch that I need to use, and there is hardly anything on worth buying. So I'm running out of time.
Do you think because the game is in Utah that the people that designed the Utah Jazz New Jerseys are the ones that designed the All-Star jerseys, and they're just plain, and
Man,
because the
I
Jazz
think they're the same people, but not because they're from Utah. I think that Nike just outsources to the most randomest of people and lets them. Have you seen this? Now, no disrespect to them, but the stuff looks weird. Have you seen the Kid Super Sports collab jerseys and things like that that
I've
just came
seen
out?
you tweet about them. I saw the Kings one that they
Kings of
talked
the Sun.
about. Then I saw the Pelicans one with just a big old bird across the front.
Big old bird. And they have shorts too. So those sets are, if you wanted the whole set, it'd be $350 for that stuff, man. And it's just like, dude,
Wow.
you could probably get a full authentic uniform for less than that. But collab prices, you gotta bump it up. NBA needs their money. The collab artist needs their money.
You can get season tickets in the upper bowl at Smoothie King Center probably for that much for the whole year. Pretty close to it.
Man, I hate that they they give you these deadlines for the season tickets. They're like, hey, renew by this date, and then you'll be entered to win this prize, and then you renew, and then the very next day they tell you Zion's going to be out for some indefinite period, and no one knows when they'll ever see or hear from him again. It's like, come on, man! It makes you want to wait, or like it happened before the trade deadline too. It's like, hey, renew now, and it's like some of us want to see what's going to happen, but I don't know. People like me, I'm just going to renew it straight up anyway. But for the people who want to wait and see what happens, kind of sucks. They put your back against the wall.
Yeah, but I think if you're waiting till next year, again, it just doesn't seem like they're going to shake things up that dramatically. I think they
I
still want
don't
to
think
keep
so.
this core. Again, they just want it's always like the one or two missing pieces, and now you need to have more of an insurance policy for Zion. And as much as
Yeah.
you don't want to admit that, it's getting someone as a 4 or a 5 that can be there. Like, if he's out for a little bit of time, then you're like, all right, the drop off is not too bad because you are seeing right now how bad you need him. But you didn't think you were going to need him this again, not taking any credit away from Zion, but you just had more faith in the roster that say, okay, we can withstand Zion being out for a little bit. it may be a little bumpy, or they may just hover around 500, but it won't be a
Yeah.
complete like 10-game losing streak or a 15-game losing streak because your star players out. Like you have talent in Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. You got Trey Murphy, who again did not hit a field goal last night, but like you do have talent on this team. You have Billy.
Mhm.
You have Billy, the battery fully charged last night with a double double. Put him in. He's ready to
Isn't
go.
that nuts? That's crazy. He continues to surprise me, you know? It's so funny. And I'm tweeting emojis the whole time he's in the game. But there was a time last night where I was just like, dude, you probably got the freshest legs out there. You got to start contesting some of these shots, right? Like you can't just watch Anthony Davis catch a rebound. You're just like standing there looking.
Mhm.
So, and I get it. He's a former first rounder. He's a former number one pick. Tony Ruffles is. He's an awesome talent, but you can't just like let him do whatever he wants as far as like attacking the boards and stuff. So whatever. They're off to the break. I'm glad that I don't have to watch them play any games for the next week. Um, Hopefully, who do we play when we come back? Get
That's a
my
great
calendar up in front of me.
question. It's the
Uh,
Toronto Raptors. It's a road trip, just a couple game
yeah,
East Coast road trip, or I don't say East Coast. It's Toronto and New York out of it. Then they're back home to host the Orlando Magic. That will wrap up February, and then they're back on the road out west. It's gonna be a tough schedule. Here's the thing: is they have the easiest schedule left, technically, record wise.
technically. Mm-hmm.
But going at Portland, at Golden State, and at Sacramento doesn't seem, and then home versus the Mavericks, home versus the Thunder just does not seem like it's anything for easy. I know they look at based on winning percentage and all that. But at the end of March, you have the Rockets twice, you have the Spurs, the Hornets. You play the Trailblazers 3 times this month. You never know with the Trailblazers. It's not your Josh Hart Trailblazers anymore. He's been
Yeah,
playing really well in New York. There are winnable games this month or March and start off February, but again, you got to come out with the right mindset here and figure some things out. But I think the biggest thing is where will the Pelicans fall in the standings, when Zion gets back. They're eighth right now at 30-29, and they're a half game back of Dallas for seventh. They are a half game back in Minnesota for sixth. So again, it's just a few game winning streak away from being right up there in the pile. Clippers are one loss ahead of you at fifth. Phoenix is 2 losses ahead of you at fourth, but I feel like Phoenix is going to pick it up after the
yeah,
All-Star break because Durant's going to be back and ready to go. Sacramento's not going anywhere. Memphis and Denver are the ones at the top, and
yeah.
Golden State's behind you, but just because they've played one less game. So, I mean,
Right.
there's 8 or 9 legitimate teams there that that can jump you or
Yeah,
be in front of you come the end of the year.
I saw a tweet from my buddy Jeremy because we're talking a lot about the strength of schedule and how we have the 28th easiest schedule according to Tankathon. But when you break it down and look at the all stars that they're facing in that time, it's Jokic once, the Memphis duo once, Sacramento duo twice, Julius Randle twice, um, Paul George twice, and Kawhi's back, so him too, assumably. Um, the Dallas All Star duo, you have them once, Pascal Siakam once, you got Dame twice, Shea
3
Gilgeous
times.
Alexander
Yeah,
three
Portland
times.
3 times. Yeah.
Oh, oh no, that's even worse. I mean, I'm not super afraid of them, but anyway, Shea Gilgeous Alexander once, you got Steph once or twice, and then you have Anthony Edwards. And so he ends the tweet by saying, "Does it look easy now?" My answer is no. It does not look easy because we also have the big question of health. It's not just who we're missing now. It's with the way things have been going, who are we going to be missing by then? Is what it
Mhm.
feels like. So and people are like, "Oh no, don't say that." And it's just like, okay, look, just being real here. Like
The
just trying to
NBA,
be
there's no
being
easy schedule.
realistic at this point is expecting somebody to get hurt. So you don't want it to happen, but you kind of have to prepare in case something happens. What do we do, sort of thing. So yeah,
How many times when we talk about any team, when you go, if healthy, they could be a really good team?
yeah,
Because health does play a factor in everyone. I would say though, like the Celtics almost beating Milwaukee without any starters the other night was thoroughly impressive.
I
And
couldn't believe it.
the Celtics now are Joe Mazzulla is now the permanent head coach, which rightfully so. He definitely deserves the way they're playing. But
Very nice.
um, Yeah, I mean, it's the same with a lot of teams. If healthy, this team can be. I mean, look at the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker being out so long. They were going through a really rough time, and people were like, "Are they going to even make the playoffs?"
Yeah.
You get one piece in Kevin Durant, and everything's now like it's finals or bust for them. Two-year
It's
window,
crazy.
1.5 season window. It's them and next year when Durant's
I
a free
can't
agent
believe
again.
that. Can't
But
believe
now
that.
everyone's looking at Phoenix, and you still have Denver. And again, we don't need to go through the teams again, but
Mhm.
health is going to be the ultimate deciding factor for a lot of these teams because
Yeah.
I feel like if the Pelicans are healthy, they stack up against a lot of these teams in the West. But right now they don't. And that's because they're
Mhm.
missing their best player in Zion. And so again, even if they hold down the fort, if they hover around 6 or 7 until he gets back, depending on when he gets back, I'll be fine with that. But you can't go into another 10-game losing streak. You drop off
No
again,
way.
there's no recovering from that. And you're looking at trying to stay in the play-in race or miss the playoffs. And I think missing the playoffs is obviously the worst possible outcome, but
For sure.
you can't miss the playoffs this year with the expectations this team had.
No. So, um, I wanted to ask, what do we think about Josh Richardson? What do we think about his first game and a half that he's played for the Pelicans?
I've been quite pleased. I have been enjoying his defense, his length. He's comfortable shooting. I just think he's played a factor. He's hit a couple alley oop lobs. I just feel like he's and that's important. That's important. Chemistry is
Yeah,
important. Again, hard to judge when you get ejected in one of the games as well. But I
rightfully
like that
so.
fiery passion from him. I've been so far been pleased. And no offense, Devontae. Wish him well in San Antonio. Obviously, he's able to let it fly there as a
Yeah,
Spur.
for sure.
But Josh is an upgrade. And so when Devontae was in and out of the rotation or not really being in there, now you have a guy that's definitely going to be in there throughout the rest of the year. And I feel like he contributes on both sides of the ball, which will be a nice welcome. I mean, he's been a journeyman, been on 5 different teams in 8 years, but at the same time, he's been solid. I think everywhere he's gone, it's just been one of those
Yeah,
guys that has been. I don't think he's been traded because he's bad. I think it's just more of it's easier to throw him into certain situations or trades based on his contract more than he's not a good player. And why is he bouncing around different teams? He was solid when he was in Miami. He's been solid everywhere he's gone. So
yeah.
for me, I think he's a nice step up, and I think they mentioned on the ESPN broadcast, and yes, I have to watch on ESPN here, being out of the market. They talking about that being a very underrated move at the deadline was the
Yeah,
Pelicans making this move. So I was quite pleased, and I have been pleased with so far. Small sample size, but I really like Josh Richardson here in New Orleans.
yeah. I wasn't able to watch the game on Monday night. And last night I saw all the way up until the point where he got ejected, and I turned my TV off. I was like, "All right,
That'll
I
do.
see how this is going." It was already a frustrating game, and once that happened, and he was well within his rights to complain about that and to get ejected, because he got absolutely like knocked upside the head by LeBron. But ever since LeBron had his meltdown, they're calling everything in his favor since that happened. So, but no, I like what I've seen from Josh so far. He has provided a spark off the bench, which by the time we start sending reserves in, we need it. So imagine if we didn't come out slow and then we get a spark off the bench.
Right.
And then like we can just pull ahead, right? So instead of fighting from behind all the time. So yeah, he's been nice to watch. He's a vet, and obviously Willie trusts his vets. He played the most minutes on Monday night out of everyone in his first game with the team. Um, so I've seen people already start the sign him again campaign online. They're like, give him the Josh Hart special.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I like him. I like him so far. I think that if they were to go ahead and give him a contract for next season or have whatever type of contract they want to give him, I think I'd be cool with that. But so far, just he's been solid. Yeah, like you
And
said.
look, there's incentive for him to do well with his contract expiring.
Yeah,
I mean,
contract year.
contract year, those guys tend to play up a little bit because they want another contract. And so whether he's here with us or with someone else, and that's the beauty of it for the Pelicans, that could be another roster spot open or use that salary to upgrade at any position. So I think like the Pelicans are in good shape here as to whether they want to keep him. And if not, then you're not using him, but he is using this opportunity to audition for 29 other teams that are maybe willing to pay him a lot more to come over to their team. So
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be a good opportunity for him and a good opportunity for the Pelicans to try to get this push into the playoffs here with 23 games to go. So much for it being like a first half of the season being over. We're
I
2/3 of the
know.
season being over, and I get why. I feel like it's because of the NFL. If you put the All
Yeah.
Star game halfway through, technically you're competing with playoffs and the end of the NFL season, which you're going to lose every single time. So I get it why it's this late, but at the same time, uh, the break comes 2/3 into the season. But I think,
Right.
as we talked about, it's a much needed time for the Pelicans. They ended the All Star break or pre All Star break on a 2-game road trip, and they will begin on a 2-game road trip, Toronto and New York, coming out of the break. So, 2 important games there for the Pelicans post All Star break. And we'll be right back here waiting for that as we'll take a little All Star break ourselves, and we
Yeah.
will be back before their next game against Toronto. So sometime middle next week or the end of next week, be on the lookout. We will have one, but we will take at least through Tuesday. We'll take a little bit of and give you all an opportunity to enjoy the Mardi Gras season. But if you are missing episodes, feel free to take us along your parade route as we are everywhere on Spotify, Apple. Don't forget to rate. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends. The Pels and Whistles is here for you. And hopefully, Pelicans' second half of the season will take this team to another level, and we'll get Zion
Yeah.
Williamson back as quick as possible. But Rel, you enjoy it. I know you're going to be staying in a lot and hovering and watching that All-Star game,
All of
but
it.
enjoy whatever festivities you can. Send me a king cake. I'd certainly appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Where do you like your king cakes from, by the way?
It doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter.
Randazzo's, Dong Fong. As I start naming lists, it doesn't matter. I like this place, this place.
Yeah.
Do
You
you know
just ranked.
there are some in our grocery store here in Atlanta, and I'm like,
Wouldn't trust it.
I
Nope.
think it's Gambino's, a
Mm,
box of Gambino's that they
okay.
probably ship here, but it's at the local grocery store. I'm like, I don't know.
I haven't had one single bite of king cake so far, and we're almost to the end of this thing. I don't think I'm gonna have any at this rate.
Is that just now because I haven't
Okay.
had it now, I'm not going to start, or you're
Yeah.
just not a king cake?
I'm not gonna go out and like buy one. Like my wife can bring one home from work, but I don't like theirs so much,
Mm,
so I'm probably just not gonna have anything. Um, and that's cool. I'm more of a cold dessert type and not a sweet uh in room temperature.
okay, so
I'm
ice
not a cake
cream.
dessert.
Go to
I'm not a
ice cream.
pie dessert.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Always ice cream. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, you definitely got to get some king cake before it's over. You'll have enough for the both of us.
All right. That sounds good. I hope everyone has a safe Mardi Gras season as well. Please stay safe out there. And we'll talk to you next week right here on Pels and Whistles, presented by Bet Online and the Believe Network.